Hey, Ray DelVecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com. Let's talk about what you need to consider if you're looking to switch your WordPress theme. There's a lot that goes into it, especially if you've been using a theme for many years, you've customized it. You don't want to lose those customizations. And I've been converting themes over to Divi like a madman in the last couple of months because my theme is stopping development. So I've hit a bunch of situations and I've come up with a real good checklist that I want to go through today. Ideally, you want to do this in a staging area. This is a small blog of mine that I created not too long ago, and I just converted this over to Divi using the staging feature with SiteGround. So if you want to check out that full tutorial, I'll link it up here in the top right. You can see me basically clone that website design onto Divi. If your website hosting doesn't have a staging feature, then you can also do this on a separate domain, which is how I used to build websites back in the day before staging was a widespread thing with hosting companies. I just have a separate domain where I install WordPress. So if I have a client website, a personal blog that I want to just mess around with, I can do it there where the stakes are low. You know, if something goes wrong, I get an error. I don't really care. Right now, you're getting a little sneak peek at a tutorial that I'm hoping to release in the next couple of months. This is actually built 100% using the WordPress full site editor, which isn't available right now. I think it's going to be released in late January or early February. After using it, there's a lot of things I really like about it. There are some bugs that I'm hoping that they fix. But I just want to mention that if you are building on a separate domain, you basically just want to take a backup of your website, clone it onto a separate domain under a subfolder like I have here. You can convert over to the theme as slowly as you like, and then when you're done, just migrate it back. So now let's get into the actual details of what you need to do. So my first step was to audit the website, and I created a template that I've been using for every website that I got here. So this is an example from a real client. So I have these 4 sections here: custom code, theme folder, theme layouts, and theme settings. Now in this code section, I tend to use a lot of snippets of code, and this was especially the case before I got to know a visual builder like Divi, which gives you the ability to drag and drop, and it plugs in all the CSS code behind the scenes to design your website. So for the custom code, really what you want to look at are the files that are outside of the WordPress installation structure. So I would usually just put this on my top level web hosting server. Obviously with WordPress, if you go into your FTP program, and this is what a WordPress installation structure looks like. You got these 3 folders: the WP-admin, content, and includes folder, and then all of these WP PHP files along with the index.php. Normally what I would do is create a new folder here, and that's where I would put all my custom code. So that's usually going to be ignored when it comes to a backup plugin unless it detects that it's there. So just take note if you do use any custom code. Obviously, if you're not a coder or a web developer, you have probably no shot at accidentally adding that code. But you might also add code into the WordPress structure itself, which we're going to dig into in those other sections. But like I said, that custom code is mainly just for things that are outside of this. The other thing I have mentioned here within the custom code, which this is in the theme folder, I probably should have put it in this section. These are all the CSS files. You're going to have all the CSS files in your child theme folder. You might add a little bit more CSS code to the additional CSS section. So if I go over here to Appearance Customize, we can add in CSS code down here in the additional CSS. So I like to come into here, grab whatever code's in here. Obviously on this site we're not using it, but I would copy and paste that into a separate file and then go into my FTP program and just copy over all of the CSS files from my child theme. So right now I'm going into the blog that we were just looking at, so you're not going to see many files here, but I would just copy over any custom files in my child theme that I had customized along with these style files. This one just has a style.css file. On my website, you can see here that, or the old theme I was using generated these 3-1 style.css, style responsive, which applied to tablets, and then style mobile for mobile sized devices. So it's just good to have a backup of any of these, because obviously most of your design is going to be from these files, and you might want to look into your theme because your theme might have some, CSS hidden elsewhere. But if you have all the CSS styles, then you should be able to at least manually hack together your old design if you want to clone it, or you might just want to start from scratch. And then also in that theme folder, we have all of our custom PHP files, the header and the footer, which usually they were very difficult to edit with older themes. Nowadays, with something like Divi, you can visually edit that. It's a lot easier, but I was having to hack together HTML code within these. The other thing I would do would be insert Google Tag Manager. That's what GTM stands for here. I got the functions file, so this is another place that you can add in custom code. So if you made any customizations to the functions.php, you want to take note of that. And then I also updated the page.php and the single.php. So these are the two templates that are going to apply to individual pages, or single.php, which is individual blog posts. I was customizing this by inserting this ncta.php snippet of code, which I have up here in my custom code, because this was outside of the WordPress folder structure. All that was just a call now button. You know, it was just a heading that said call now with their phone number. A very, very simple bit of code. But I just like to keep that in a separate file if I ever wanted to edit it, so I didn't have to log in to WordPress. I'm going to jump past this section. I'll finish this last, the theme layouts. The next one is the theme settings. So usually every theme that you have installed is going to have their own settings. So if I exit out of here, and with Divi, they have the menu here. If you go into here, the theme options, these are basically all your settings with Divi. So whatever premium theme you have installed, you're probably going to have a settings menu somewhere over here, either with a new menu, or it might be embedded as a sub menu within either settings or tools. So go through whatever customizations you have to your specific settings. Take note of that. You can see over here, that's what I did. The theme settings for my old theme, that's where I integrated Fancy Box, which is just a pop-up, an image pop-up JavaScript library, and then the favicon, which is just the site icon that shows up here in the tab. So any customizations you have from your theme settings, that's where you want to just take note of that. And you're going to have to figure out if there's a similar associated setting with whatever new theme you're using. And just so you know, when I convert over to Divi, the first handful of steps that I do is create a child theme. So in order to do that, I use a plugin called Child Theme Configurator. And then I'll go to this theme options page. I usually set the color palette first. If I have any code that I need to integrate, I go over to this integrations tab. If you have analytics, you might want to paste that in here as well. And then lastly, you want to go over to the updates tab. This is where you input your Divi username and API key. And this is what allows you to get Divi updates over time. And you either subscribe to their annual plan, or what I recommend is just get their lifetime license. It doesn't cost that much more, and it's well worth the money. And the other thing that Divi does is adds, or really every theme that you have installed, they're going to have their own ways to customize in this Appearance Customize section. So with Divi, you just want to go through and set your defaults for the Divi content modules. You can set your default typography, heading size, font size, the buttons, all that kind of stuff. You can pick from your color palette that you just set in the last settings page. And the reason that I held off on this last theme layout section is that the way that my old theme did this was actually really close to how Divi does it. So they would allow you to create a layout and then apply that layout to any page you want. Divi does the exact same thing in just a different way. So I would just take note of the different layouts that you have. So on this particular client website, I only had two layouts. I had a homepage layout, which was just full width, no sidebar, and a blog layout, which was the default layout that I used for all inner pages, and all that was just a content with a right sidebar. And then the other thing that you want to note with your themes is your theme widgets. So if you go to Appearance, Widgets, you'll see whatever widgets you have set, and you'll see here that I was using widgets to fill content in a 3-column area. I had a widget for their service areas, and then everything on the sidebar was just widgets. So that's really what I need to recreate. I can either do it with the Divi builder or with whatever new theme you want to use. You got to recreate all these different areas for the layouts. And the way that Divi does these theme layouts is through the theme builder. So if you go over to Divi into the theme builder section, this is where you can create your layouts and apply them to whatever page you want. If you go to the settings here, you can pick specific pages, specific posts. They have a bunch of different ways to customize your layouts, and then you create your global header, your global footer, all visually, and then you have your default template, which is your global body, and then you create the custom body for any other pages that you want. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I go through this in detail in that tutorial building this gardening blog. So subscribe to my channel. Go check out that video. Just go to my channel and search for Divi. You'll be able to find it. If you're kind of a beginner with WordPress and you're looking to switch themes, you may have only used one theme. That's all you know. When you use 2 or 3 themes, then you get to see what the core of WordPress lets you do versus what the themes are allowing you to customize. Because the thing about WordPress is that anybody can build a theme for it. So the way that you customize a theme, your headspace and like the way you think kind of needs to match the way that the developer of that theme thinks. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for you. It's not going to be intuitive. So you might need to test around a little bit. This is why I like Divi, because a lot of the ways to customize before was to kind of go into these pages and hit checkboxes, put in content, but you weren't visually seeing what you were editing. Divi changes that. The next version of WordPress that we shared with you here with the full site editor, WordPress is trying to get closer to that experience with their core software, but they are so far away from what Divi has. They don't let you customize nearly as much as Divi does. That's been my experience so far. I expect it to take at least a couple of years before WordPress's full site editing is anywhere near what Divi offers. So I highly recommend you check out Divi. I'll link them up in the description below and you can learn more about them. I am an affiliate, so if you buy through my link, I get a small commission at no extra charge to you. That helps support my channel and my blog and allows me to make free tutorials like this one. My guess is that if you are building multiple websites and using several themes, you're probably considering freelancing with WordPress. You got the skills to build websites, and there's a lot of people and businesses out there that need website help. I got you covered. Go to my homepage, websiteprofitcourse.com. You can download a free cheat sheet. 15 tools to start your web design business. If you're more of a WordPress beginner, like I mentioned before, and you might have only used one other theme, you're still getting used to how WordPress operates, I highly recommend you check out my free training that takes you step by step through the WordPress admin area in detail, along with telling you how WordPress works, where I go deeper into the file structure and the other things that I touched on today. To check that out, go to websiteprofitcourse.com/WP101. Both of those links, along with Divi and links to other helpful information, will be in the description below. Last but not least, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it or if you learned something. Make sure you subscribe to my channel to get future WordPress tutorials and web design freelancing videos. And if you're going through the process of switching WordPress themes, leave a comment below. Let us know what theme you're using, what theme you're thinking about converting over to. Thanks for making it to the end. I'll link up a couple other videos here if you want to keep watching and learning.